Welcome to the Flourish Frequency, the show where we activate and amplify the frequencies of success, joy, and abundance. I'm your host, Beth Larsen, a high-performance and quantum success coach. If you're ready to ditch the hard hustle and embrace a more effortless flow, then this is the show for you. Together, we'll tap into quantum thinking, harness the laws of the universe, and unlock the secrets to living a life of more. More joy, more energy, more passion, more money, and more meaning. No more simply surviving, we're going beyond thriving. It's time to flourish. The Flourish Frequency Show starts now. Hello, and welcome back to the Flourish Frequency. I am your host, Beth Larsen, and today I am joined by a very, very special person. I am so happy to bring her back for a second time on the show, actually. Last time she was here with her husband. This time she's flying solo as my special guest. So Rachel Moore is here joining us. She is an entrepreneur, a real estate investor, a philanthropist, and the creator of the lifestyle and fashion brand Pinteresting Plans. And if you guys are not following her, go find her. You can find her blog online. You can find her on Instagram and on Facebook. And where else? Pinterest, probably?
Pinterest, yep.
Yep, awesome. Well, Rachel is somebody that I met originally several years ago as a client, and I am so fortunate to be able to call her now a friend. And she's somebody who's also been collaborating with me for the last few years. We have done this annual Dream Big, Live Bold workshop at the beginning of every year. I know it's my favorite way to start off the new year. So I'm thrilled to be able to do that again with her this year. She's also my co-creator and host of the Wired for Wealth program as well. So Rachel, welcome. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. You have just changed my life so much. So anything I can do where you're reaching more people, I want to speak to how impactful it's been in my life.
Oh, well, thank you so much. This is a dream for me. Here, we're doing this workshop coming up, Dream Big, Live Bold, and we're talking about dreams. And a dream for me is being able to work with amazing people like you. And it is something that, when I say it's a dream, it is a dream of mine to work with people who inspire me as much as I inspire them. That is this beautiful circulation of energy, and that we actually challenge each other to always go higher and higher. And so that is part of my dream, and I'm living into that dream right now. And you're one example of that. And I have amazing clients that I also consider, the same, to be people that started off as clients, but I care so deeply about them that I now consider them friends and family even. So I am thrilled to have you here today. But I wanted to specifically have a part of a conversation. We're getting ready to hold our workshop at the beginning of the year. It's January 2nd, by the way, for anybody listening. And there's a part of this conversation that I think is really important to have before we even get to the workshop. The workshop is already like, we're going to hit the decks running with dreaming big and living bold. But there's this part of this conversation about why we don't let ourselves go there. A lot of women feel the invitation to dream bigger and live bolder as they look ahead for the year, but they just won't let themselves fully go there and actually have the big dream, or they'll have it and shrink it down. And it's not because they lack desire or they lack ambition or they lack vision, but there's that missing piece that's really about capacity. And so I'm calling this conversation the capacity conversation. I invited you on because I wanted you to actually speak to maybe how this has actually played out in your life, in terms of capacity. So when I say capacity, first off, let me ask you, what does that mean to you when you hear the concept or the term capacity?
I mean, how big a dream can you hold?
Exactly.
In terms of dreaming, capacity in terms of like, um, how much in a business, how many setbacks can you hold? Like, how many clients can say no? And you're like, well, I have faith, and I can hold that maybe this person wasn't interested and there's five more who will be tomorrow.
Mm,
So I would
yeah.
say the capacity to hold all kinds of emotions, including like the dreamier ones like excitement and joy.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love that you said that, the capacity to hold more. If you can hold more, you can have more. And there's that, we all want more, but can we actually have more? Because can we see ourselves having more? And can we allow ourselves to have more? Can we actually expand our capacity to be able to not only have more, but then hold it? Then be able to hold on to it so that we can continue to expand as we expand, as our dreams expand. This year it's dream bigger and live bolder because you've already got a foundation of dreaming big and living bold. Can you keep going? Um, and so, in order to do that, we do need to be able to handle more and have more. And for me, there's two parts to capacity. There's the inner capacity, and then there's the outer capacity. And you touched on a little bit of it there, right? So inner capacity is that ability to actually handle more from, this is where the nervous system work comes in, right? Like can our nervous system handle more? Can we actually feel and allow ourselves to feel safe letting ourselves dream bigger? Can we allow ourselves to feel safe taking on more in our life? Can we handle the risks and the disappointment that come along with having more, right? And then there's the outer capacity. Do we have the structure and the support to actually expand and grow as we go? And so if you're only looking at one side of capacity, then expanding, you may be able to let yourself expand a little bit, but you may be missing part of the puzzle piece, right? In terms of being able to expand consistently. So what will happen is, at least what I've seen, is that when we're not willing to let ourselves expand our capacity, then we'll shrink down. We'll take the big dream and we'll shrink it down to make it manageable, to make it achievable, instead of saying, I have absolutely no idea how this is going to happen. And I'm willing to be uncomfortable in that space of, I have no idea how this is going to happen. Right.
Hmm.
So I'm curious, when you look back, you know, can you see a time or a place where you saw yourself stopping at the level of dreaming, and maybe taking your dream and shrinking it down a little bit, not because you didn't want more, but because it felt either unrealistic or unsafe to let yourself imagine it? Was that ever something that was part of your experience?
Absolutely. I can actually remember being on a coaching call with you,
Yeah.
and we had been working together for, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 years. And so I had manifested and purchased our dream house at the beach. And then, and it was so close to the beach that there really weren't any like full-time people that we were connecting with. So we didn't have like that sense of community. So while I love the house, I was actually craving then keeping the house as a rental property, a vacation house, and then moving back like a mile away into a neighborhood where there was more kids and families. But the house I wanted in that house was a number that I was uncomfortable with at the time. I'm like, I just bought a really expensive house. How could I possibly just go and buy another one right away? And I remember you called me out. So it's good to have a loving friend to call you out on your self-limiting beliefs.
The self-limiting belief.
Yes. Because I
What
think
was that belief for you? Do you
I
remember?
couldn't, there was no way I could just buy two really expensive houses so close together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I just didn't know anybody, I hadn't seen someone else that I knew closely do it, so I was just not really in my reality at the moment.
Yeah.
But you are so good about, poking holes in my stories.
Screw reality.
Yeah.
I like what
But
you said
hey,
there.
I mean, and all that to say, we did end up moving into that house that I was like, that was out of the question. And then even then, a year and a half after that, we ended up moving into something even better.
Yeah. And how many properties do you own now?
Hmm, maybe
She's lost
nine.
count.
Well,
9.
we just sold something, but we just like traded up. So we sold something and bought something bigger
Yeah.
with the profit.
Yeah. So I love what you said there about you know, it wasn't even you didn't first off, you didn't have the example outside of you to tell you that that was possible for you,
Hmm.
right? Which means you have to be able to create that idea for yourself. You have to decide as, you know, as somebody who's going to let themselves dream bigger and live bolder, is that you've got to be able to decide, well, I'm going to become the example, right? You can find examples that are out there. It's just if we're not already conditioned to see it, we're not going to see it right away in our own reality. So we have to let ourselves become the example and then look for the examples out there, right? So that's
Hmm.
part of it. And then when you're willing to do that, you've got to be able to do it in a way that like your nervous system is not going to go completely haywire on you. Like taking on uh, in this case more financial responsibility, that's a lot of pressure for many people. Right. Well,
Hmm.
it's pressure for anyone when you take on additional financial responsibility. And to be able to do that and not completely have a nervous breakdown in the process means you have to be able to work with your nervous system so that you can let yourself go there, right? Otherwise, there's no sense in doing that to yourself because you're just gonna take yourself down in the process.
Hmm.
Right? And that's not healthy. And my message out there is not to, you know, do things that are unhealthy for you. It's to actually create a nervous system that is so regulated that you actually can handle it, that you can handle that unknown and you can live into taking the actions that are going to actually help you rise up to the stretch that you're going for rather than shrink down just to meet where you're currently at. So when we've worked together on the inner capacity and helping you have that nervous system to be able to handle that, what what has been most helpful for you in regulating the nervous system on any of the things that we've done together or even outside of the work we've done? Like when you think of what allows you to walk through the day with that nervous system that's like, okay, I've got this. I can do this, even though I have no idea how.
I think just repetition. Practicing this stuff over and over. I mean, you taught me so many, I call them Bethisms. Um, so like, when there's things that feel like a struggle, feelings aren't facts. So I'm like, okay, how is this happening for me?
Mm,
So, something that originally feels like, oh, this is like so annoying. This is like ruining my day. And it's like, wait, how could this be happening for my better good? So
yeah,
just like a lot of reframing. Um, and a lot of like, I would say like certain breathing techniques are really helpful in the really tense moments.
yeah. Breath work. That's been a big one.
Your triggers are your treasures. So really when something's like really bothering, there's like what feels like maybe like an irrational, like emotional response. Um, like looking at like, okay, so like what needs to be healed here?
Yeah,
Why is this coming up so strong?
yeah, yeah. I know, we're talking dreams here at this workshop. And there's a difference between dreams and goals, right? And a lot of people go straight to having goals, but there's a difference in the way that those goals get set. And when you start with goals, but don't start with a dream, you're always going to be in that place of just only working towards what you can see, right? And looking at current circumstances to tell you what's possible for you, looking at your past to tell you what's possible for you, which is really not telling you what's possible, it's only telling you what's predictable. But when you're creating something new, it does require having that dream. So when we start with the dream, we start big. We start pie in the sky. We start like, I have no idea how this is going to happen. And I think you've allowed yourself to go big. What's the biggest that you feel like you've gone for yourself?
I mean, just when we started coaching, I was living in Connecticut and own 2 houses, and now I live at the beach and own 9. So, I would say
Well, that's
just
pretty big.
yeah, like compounding my real estate investments, which was a dream of mine, and continuing to grow a business. Pinteresting plans is a pretty fun way to make money and make so many friends along the way, um, and to just like keep it fun. I think when we met, it was because I was just like feeling so burned out by social media. Um, and so, you were really able to help me lean back into what I liked about it and, stop fixating on things I didn't like about it.
Yeah, and bringing back in that fun.
Yeah.
We know that's part of your key to success is fun.
Yes.
For sure, for
That's
sure.
one of my power words that you said I couldn't have this year because it was already too fun.
Okay, so I have to share with everybody the story of that. So we do pick a power words every year, right? Words that are actually going to inspire you to grow into. So when I told Rachel she couldn't pick fun, all I, all I meant by that is she is already a really fun person. So that wasn't necessarily a stretch for her to choose as a power word. So by the way, you got somebody trying to get out the door back
I
there.
know. But if I let him out, he's gonna wanna come back in.
We just have a special guest showing up.
Yeah.
I love it. Talk about fun, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So, okay, well, we're going to finish this conversation on capacity. We're going to take a quick break here. We're going to talk about expanding capacity in more ways when we come back here. And if this conversation is expanding you, I really want to invite everybody listening, come join Rachel and I at our Dream Big, Live Bold workshop. January 2nd is when we're going to be holding it from 11 to 1 Eastern Standard Time. The link will be down in the show notes, and we'll be back in just a minute. All right, we are back at the Flourish Frequency show here, and I am with my very special guest, Rachel Moore. I'm Beth Larsen, the host, by the way, and we are going to be running coming up in January 2nd. We're running our annual Dream Big, Live Bold workshop, and that's what we're talking about here today. But we're talking about kind of the precursor to that, the precursor to the Dreaming Big and Living Bold, which is a really important part of the conversation, which is capacity. You can't have bigger dreams and live bolder if you don't have the capacity to let yourself dream bigger or let yourself live bolder. So, right before we went to break, we were talking a little bit about some of the things that you do to, or that you've done to help yourself expand your inner capacity, to be able to have that nervous system that can handle it all without going into meltdown when things get really big and you have no idea how it's going to happen. And we talked a little bit, mentioned a little bit there about breath work. And I think there's an interesting point that I want to make about this because breath work is something I've brought into my practice, both for myself personally, but also for my clients to support them. And I believe so passionately about it because I've seen the difference in my own life and then also what it's done for clients. But there's a couple of different ways that you can use breath work, right? There is the breath work in terms of when you actually are in the moment, having one of those, oh my gosh, what did I do? What did I get myself into kind of things when you've gone so big and you're starting to try, it's up to you to live into it boldly. And then all of a sudden you're having that moment of monkey mind popping up going, what the heck have you done? Can you relate to that, Rachel?
Oh yeah.
When you signed on that second house, probably it's like, oh no, what did we do?
Yeah.
I've got two mortgages now. I've got two kids. I've got two dogs. I've got a husband. What are we doing here? What the heck have we done? And you've got those moments that pop up, and being able to actually breathe through those moments, right? Using the breath in the moment. So that's one thing. Um, the second piece, though, is what you've committed to on a really consistent basis is doing the longer breathwork journeys, which is really more of a conditioning, a regulation of the nervous system over time. And it does more than just regulate your nervous system, though. Can you share a little bit with the listeners how that has impacted you? Because I know you're one of my biggest fans for breath work. I mean, you're always sharing with people, and I really appreciate
Oh
that.
yeah. I had never experienced anything like breath work before. And I was sort of just like one of those people, like you would talk to me about like meditating, and I just really struggled to be still and get out of my head. So that more like active breath work really like slowed me down to where it was like all the mental clutter would sort of like fade away, and like the best insights and ideas and perspectives would be able to come through. So I tell everyone like promise you it is life changing. And whenever I'm in like a mental struggle, creating my own problems in my head, that is like my absolute favorite tool. Other than like, getting outside and exercising, um, breath work is just the best.
Yeah, yeah. Rachel is like always one of my biggest fans for it. And I so appreciate the fact that you share it with so many people, the experience that you've had with it, because I I've experienced the same. That's why I brought it into my practice. It's like that tool that just allows the monkey mind to just simmer down, simmer down, get in the back seat. You're not driving anymore. I'm the one driving. I know I'm the one who also made that big crazy decision that, we're going to extend ourselves this way, and I'm in the driver's seat. Because if you're the one who makes that decision and then you let the monkey mind get into the driver's seat, it's
Hmm.
not going to happen. So this is why having inner capacity is so important, because you've got to be able to use your tools to put that monkey mind back into the back seat again, right? I always use that analogy of the monkeys and driving and in the car, because the reality is we need them still. That monkey mind is there to actually protect us when we're actually doing something that is unsafe. But the monkeys can't tell the difference between unsafe and just big, right? Uncomfortable. The monkeys will equate it as the same thing. So monkey mind will stop you, and you've got to be able to expand your capacity to quiet them down. And that's what happens in a breathwork journey in particular. When we do these journeys, they're usually between 50 and 60 minutes of a journey, and you're doing some really deep breathing. And in the process, what happens is it actually puts your brain waves, takes them out of that overactive beta brainwave state and calms them down into alpha and then theta. And when theta brainwaves happen, it's like the doorway to the subconscious becomes open, and your whole nervous system is now in this state of deep relaxation. And so this is when those insights come in. Rachel's, I always laugh because she's got her journal right next to her when we do a breathwork journey. And she's usually popping her head up in the middle of the journey and like taking furious notes as she's
Well,
going.
it's so many. I mean, it's like usually about 45 minutes of the active breathing. So there's so many things that if I don't write it down, I
Yeah.
don't want to forget
Yeah.
because they're so good.
Yeah, and I just let her go for it. Like, I never try and stop her when she's doing that. A lot of people will say, "Oh, no, 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 stay in the breath work." I'm like, "No, I know she's got it.
Yeah.
She's in it. She's taking her notes, and she'll go right back down into
It
the
does
dream."
not like take me out of the experience.
Yep, yep. And I wanted to touch on that because I think this is so important. It's like we tend to think the breath work is just to regulate the nervous system, but it's not. It's also about tapping into these levels of creativity and inspiration that you can't do when your nervous system is locked down, right? There's that secondary piece of it and why it's so important to dreaming big. And I just want to say this with the workshop that we're doing, that workshop is a 2-hour activation. We are really going to go heavy into the dreaming big and then talk about the living bold part. But there's also a second piece of it if you want to experience it. And I'm calling it the experience. It's the Dream Big, Live Bold experience. It's that there's a whole extra month of support. And we're going to be doing a breathwork journey as part of that because you can have that big dream, but if you don't have the consistent support throughout the rest of the month, it may start as a spark and then never actually catch on to a flame, right? And that's what I don't want to see that happen for anyone. So we're giving that second level of the experience this year. So if you want to do the workshop and get the spark, that's great. If you want to get the experience and get the extra support to help you, then go for the experience. Okay. And again, the link's going to be down below in the show notes, but this is really getting into also then the second part of capacity, which, we were talking about inner capacity, which is really working on the nervous system and not listening, not letting the monkeys take over and not putting yourself in a place where you're going to just have a meltdown the first time something doesn't work the way you want it to. But instead, that you can continue to have resilience and keep going forward, even without a lot of information, a lot of knowing the how, right? The second piece, though, is this concept of outer capacity. So that means really having the support, the structure to be able to let these big dreams actually take root, actually start to get off the ground, to take the spark and turn it into a flame and keep it going. When I say outer capacity for you, Rachel, what has that meant for you in your life in relationship to your dreams?
Well, you're looking at her on the Zoom call. It's you. You truly
One
though.
piece of it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I paid, excuse me, paid somebody to kind of like help me work on blind spots, point them out, and give me like actionable ways to keep growing. Um, and I think like the people you surround yourself with have such an influence on you.
Mhm.
Um, so really honing in on who you share your energy with, because they're sharing back. So, you know,
Exactly.
you want to
Yeah.
be selective,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. What
but
about
definitely coaching, I think like some people don't understand. To me, it's so valuable.
yeah, me too. I mean, I also have my own coach. I
Yeah.
believe for the rest of my life, I will always have a coach for something for depending on what area of my life, I want to really stretch myself, right? And
Mhm.
I think that's important for everyone, right? In some way, shape, or form. Because you're right, we all have blind spots. And if we're thinking we don't, that's part of the way you keep
That's
yourself
a blind spot.
that's a blind spot. Exactly. It's part of the way you keep yourself playing small too, right?
Yeah.
So because there's the part of you that doesn't actually want to recognize the blind spot. So you actually are still playing small in that case.
Hmm.
When I think of the two different kinds of capacity, I should have mentioned this earlier actually. I always think of it in terms of like um, cups or glasses. And I think I've used this analogy before on shows. to talk about this, but it's like the inner capacity is getting a bigger cup, right? But the outer capacity is getting more cups to pour into. So if you're wanting to expand, and like let's say the dream is that water inside, and the dream starts to expand and get bigger and it starts to overflow, you either get a bigger cup or you get more cups to pour into it, or ideally you're getting both, right? So this would be the inner capacity is the cup that you currently have, and expanding that and making that bigger, and then the outer capacity getting more cups to pour into. So having a coach is another cup. Are there other types of cups that you've added as you've expanded and grown with your dreams?
I mean, I'm always, excuse me, like doing different like types of retreats, trying new, like a few years ago, breathwork was a new tool that you had recommended and I tried. At the time you weren't even offering it. It
Right.
was you were referring me to somebody else who wasn't even as good as you. Um,
Thank you.
so that has helped. I'm trying to think. I mean, honestly, just I think the more you stretch yourself, the more you can look back and think and see like, wow, the results would say like when I stretch myself, it hasn't failed me yet. You
Mm,
know, I
yeah,
keep growing. Um, so it's like results, you
yeah.
know.
How about like well, actually I'll share here for myself too, this past year, um inner capacity and outer capacity. I'll just share my own experience. My inner capacity, I recognized when I was setting expanded dreams last year and going bigger, I realized that my inner capacity was one of the things I needed to work on because I was dealing with a lot of stuff personally in my life. I've mentioned this several times on the show. I've got both my parents who both have dementia, and I am navigating that life with them. Not with them, like in terms of they're now in a really beautiful place where they're being taken care of, and that's part of the outer capacity that I had to get in my life. I had to find, I shouldn't say find, I had to allow myself to receive support externally. Instead of trying to figure it all out on my own, I had to actually open up and lean into and allow myself to receive support. And the most miraculous places and people, I should say, have emerged over the past year that weren't even an option previously. Like I wouldn't even have known about it. And it really helped me to be able to expand because I had the external support. But then I also had to have that internal support, meaning constantly regulating my nervous system so that if something happened to them, that it wasn't sending me off. And that's been an ongoing practice for me, right? I've been doing that consistently over the last year, really 2 years, um, as we navigate this changing life. And part of my dream was always to be able to enjoy this time and not be in a place where I couldn't enjoy it, where I couldn't actually, be in a place where I was worried about what was going on with them and not be able to be with them, not to have that presence. So I think that that's something that's really been important to me from a personal standpoint, but then that also carried over into my business. I realized that if I if I was regulating myself in my personal life, then I was also able to expand in my professional life. Like I didn't have to sacrifice one for the other. And I made a couple of decisions this year with my business to walk away from some stuff that wasn't serving me. And there were many places where it's like, oh no, like what have I done? That was a part of my income. But by walking away from the stuff that wasn't serving me, it opened up the door for bigger things that were. And if I was in that place of playing small still, I wouldn't have done that, or I would have gone back to it. So I hope that's making sense. I feel like I'm kind of rambling on that topic a little bit, but it's what I'm trying to really convey here is that the personal and the professional, they carry over. It's like if you're not um, if you're taking on too much in your professional life, it's going to impact your personal life. And if you're taking on too much in your personal life, it's going to impact your professional life. And to be able to expand and grow in both of them, it takes capacity, inner and outer. The other place that this I showed up, or I experienced this with my own business was realizing that I needed to hire more people in my business. I needed to actually build my team up more because I could expand all I wanted to, but if I didn't have the bandwidth to be able to do it because I just physically didn't have the time or the space to do it, or I was doing things that were not my zone of genius because somebody else could be doing it, then I was actually going to be shrinking. I was going to not let myself expand. So that was a decision that I had to make mid-year as well, is to bring more people on into the business so that I could keep expanding. So I'm just trying to give a couple of examples here, again, of the way that this looks both from an inner capacity standpoint, but also an outer capacity standpoint. It could look like hiring extra people in your business. It could look like leaning into friends and family for emotional support. It could look like hiring somebody to help clean the house so that you don't have to do that, or hiring somebody to cook, or getting a one of those meal delivery services. Like these are all ways that you can expand your outer capacity that will allow you to continue to grow and evolve and expand and live into those big, bold dreams. So I think we're going to take another quick break here. Rachel, was there something you wanted to say there?
Oh, I didn't realize that when you were saying outer capacity. Oh, I got lots of help.
Okay.
So
We're gonna
I could go
let's
into
talk
that
about
after the
that.
break.
Yeah, we'll take a quick break. I want to hear more about that. She's like, "Oh, I've got some ideas there." Okay. So we're going to take another quick break here and then we'll come back and wrap things up. Again, we're going to invite you here to join us January 2nd for the Dream Big Live Bold workshop, or for the entire month of January for the experience. The link is down in the show notes and we'll be back in just a moment. All right, we are back at the Flourish Frequency show here with my special guest, Rachel Moore, my co-host for the Dream Big Live Bold workshop. And we were just right as we were about to go to break there. Rachel's like, wait, I've got more ideas on the outer capacity. So I wanted to give her the chance to talk about that because, again, I really want to expand everyone's thinking here and help you understand what this concept of capacity is and how it relates to you being able to not just dream bigger, but allow yourself to expand into living bolder as well. So, yeah, go for it, Rachel.
I know, I'm sorry. I was like thinking of outer capacity differently, but yeah. So, I mean, I think anything that feels like a drag or I don't like doing, I'm like, how can I use something I do like doing to essentially, in my mind, I'm like, I just want to pay someone else to do it. So I actually recently added somebody who puts laundry away. I was like, I don't mind doing the laundry. I just have a hard time getting it out of the laundry basket into the drawers. So then I have a girl who comes and cooks a couple meals on Mondays to like get our week started. I almost exclusively do grocery delivery. I don't really like going to grocery stores and I don't like to spend the time doing that. So that frees up a lot of time and energy for me. I have lots of people in various businesses that I own that help really with all the things that I'm not good at or just don't like doing. Um, I think it's really important to hire people who have different skill sets. I love the book, The Six Working Geniuses, and think it's a really good book in terms of figuring out someone else's zone of genius before you hire them, because you don't want somebody who's competing with your zone of genius. Um, so yeah, and just like Actually, just even simple things like asking my husband for more help instead of just trying to do everything on my own.
Mm,
Sounds simple, but you know, getting clear on like what I want and what I need and then asking for it.
yeah, yeah. Um, I am curious too. I didn't even mention this earlier. Rachel also founded a school, an alternative school for her children to attend and more children to
Yep.
attend. And that's been really successful down there in Florida as well. I'm curious too, like when you've looked at expanding yourself, because I mean, you've taken on all these different roles, right? And added more things. Where have you found like, is there any place where you found like this is my breaking point? Or do I need to make decisions on what my priorities are? Does that make sense what I'm
I would
asking?
say owning a school has many times made me feel just about to my breaking point. Um, and so like last year we hired a new operating partner
Mhm.
and my goal is to transition out of being a school owner. Um, because I did expand my capacity a lot and just also feel like it's not a role that I really like enjoy. I didn't start a school thinking I would be the operating owner. And
Yeah.
so when I became the operating owner because the other person left, that really stretched me in ways that wasn't expecting to grow. And you can look back and see the growth, but boy, it can feel uncomfortable going through it.
So I think I'm so glad you brought this up actually, because I think this is an important part of the conversation too. It's like as you dream bigger, it's also recognizing that sometimes the dream will look different than what you thought. And then as things evolve, if you've actually gotten yourself into maybe down a lane that's not following the dream, it's like recognizing that and allowing that to be okay as well and allowing it to evolve into something else so that you can continue to put your energy into the dreams that you're growing. Does that track? Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So like how do you know when you have actually reached that point for yourself that it's like this is actually not part of my dream anymore, or this got off track from what the dream is? Is it a signal in your body? Is it a signal like what is it for you?
I mean, it quite literally feels like a breaking point. I end up in tears and just like, I can't do this anymore.
Mhm.
Something has to change. I don't want to keep repeating this cycle and ending up in tears.
And how do you know the difference for yourself between this is a growth edge and this is actually just not what I'm meant to be doing? Like this isn't the path I choose or that I desire. How have you been able to tell the difference for yourself?
Um, really just I think it's with the school, it's been over such a period of time
Mhm.
and the story isn't really shifting with I mean, the stories that I feel grateful to have started a school. I just don't want to be running a school. And so like getting comfortable with like, oh, this was my dream to start a school. It was never my dream to like run the school.
Yeah.
And so, recognizing like I did have the dream and I did even accomplish the dream,
Yeah.
but now I'm not in the dream. Now I'm
Yeah.
in the reality.
But I think this is the point. This is great because the dream gets to evolve. And what's happening here is like there's the should and the could that pops into our heads often, which again will keep us going down a path that actually isn't where our heart is calling us,
Mhm.
versus what you're allowing to happen there is like, well, just because I could doesn't mean I have to, and it doesn't mean I should keep going down this path that isn't really where my heart was open wide.
Oh, another thing is, like, when you think about the alternative, like, do you feel, like, light and happy?
Mhm.
You know? Like, when you think of, like, releasing yourself from something, how does that feel?
Yeah.
How does that idea feel in your body?
Exactly. Your big dreams are always going to feel expansive. If you get out of the head about it and you actually just drop into the heart and feel, it will always feel light and expansive. That doesn't mean it's not going to feel scary. Again,
Mhm.
it will feel scary. That's why we work on those, on the capacity, right, to get there. But it's going to feel heavy in the body if it's not following your path. Now that's different, I think, from feeling heavy up in the head, and I wanna make that point. Honestly, a lot of times we feel heavy in the head because it's the thoughts that are actually creating all of that. But if you get out of your head and you drop down into your body and you just tune into the feelings in your body, does this feel expansive? And you follow it, bring the nervous system along for the ride with it. But
And
if
breath work is such a good tool if you're somebody like me who has trouble getting out of your head.
I can relate to it as well. So I'm curious. I know we have just a couple of minutes here left before we hop off for the day here, but as you are releasing some things that aren't the dream, right? And you're allowing that to morph into something else, where do you feel your energy moving next? Like what's next
Oh,
for Rachel Moore?
you mean my next dreams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You willing to
I
share?
really wanna travel more with my kids and Chris this year. Um, Mac is 13 and Cam is 10, so I think this is just, like, a window of time where we still all live together and enjoy each other's company and can explore, and it's, like, easy. I don't Nobody's in diapers or anything.
Yeah.
So just some really fun trips. And I'm looking forward to, when with the school phasing out, really expanding Pinteresting plans.
Ah,
I have some ideas of, like, even just like tax workshops I want to work on with people, some in-person events and retreats. But I've been giving so much energy to the school that I haven't wanted to open any other doors because I've felt like I'm at
capacity.
capacity.
Yes. Yeah. So that's an important last point here that I want to make is by walking away from the things that aren't serving you, you automatically are opening up the capacity for the things that are, right? Um, when I say not serving, I just mean that it's like again for Rachel with the school, it's like your dream was actually to open it. And
Hmm.
you lived into that. And so as you moved into a direction that actually started to misalign from what the initial part of the dream was, that's what I just mean by not serving. That dream was still there, and the school is still amazing, and it's still done wonders for your own kids as well as for other kids down there as well. But it's just getting really clear. I did the same thing for myself this past year. Again, it's like walking away from the stuff that wasn't serving me because every time I felt into it, it was like heavy in my body. And I'm like, oh, this isn't, why am I doing this? Immediately, as soon as you walk away from it, I promise you, you feel this incredible expansion in your body, in your soul. And it's like it just opens up the mind to let yourself dream bigger, to let yourself live bolder and go bolder with it. So beautiful. Rachel, thank you so much for being here today. And I'm looking forward to doing our
Thank
workshop again
you.
in a couple of weeks. And to the listeners, for everybody listening out there, just my message to all of you really is that you don't need to shrink your dreams. You just need to expand the container that holds them. And sometimes, again, that is the container, meaning your ability to let yourself dream bigger, your ability to allow yourself to handle all the ups and downs that might come as you travel that path of the unknown, but then also opening yourself up to allowing yourself to receive support, allowing yourself to put some structure in also to create and establish plans. And yes, goals are not a bad thing, but a goal should not come before the dream should inform the goals, and the goals should be something that grow you, right? That don't contain you, but that grow you. So these are all parts of things that we're going to talk about at the Dream Big Live Build workshop and actually help you to establish those things. So again, my invitation to everybody here, the time of year invites us to dream bigger and live bolder. What makes that possible isn't pressure or willpower, it's capacity, the capacity to imagine without shutting down, the capacity to take bold steps without overwhelming your system, the capacity to build a life that can actually hold what you're calling in. So come join us on January 2nd. Link is in the show notes. And until then, thank you for being with us on the Flourish Frequency. Keep flourishing. Thank you for tuning in to the Flourish Frequency Show with me, Beth Larsen. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and are leaving with a heart full of inspiration and a mind buzzing with the possibilities of more. Tune in every third Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio for more frequency boosting conversations. And if you want more help getting into your Flourish flow and stepping into the possibilities of more, you can find me at BethLarsenCoaching.com. That's BethLarsenCoaching.com, Larsen with an E.